To the screen on my right, just so that you know what you're looking at, these are Muslims rioting across Europe and the U.S. last year. You never saw these images in the media. You only found them on blogs like mine, Atlas Shrugs, and Jihad Watch. We're going to shut it off now, but I wanted you to get a flavor of what you're not getting in the news. Welcome. Welcome to the first event of the Freedom Defense Initiative, one of many, I hope, I pray. My name is My name is Pamela Geller. My blog is Atlas Shrugs, and I'm with Freedom Defense Initiative, an organization I started with Robert Spencer. It was to be on the offense against political, cultural, sociological, academic actions taken to dismantle our freedoms and to subvert the Constitution. It grieves me that at the largest gathering of conservatives in America, that if Robert and I did not do this event, the only other event devoted to the war against terror was "You are being lied to." Why real conservatives are against the war on terror. Ooh is right. By a Karen Kwiatkowski, who, by the way, writes for antiwar.com. Why don't they just have Cindy Sheehan give a seminar here? I'm serious. 1/3 of the jihad attacks since 9/11 happened in 2009. And yet, you've never seen such a media blackout, such dishonesty and cover-up in reporting the root cause of the jihad and the jihad in Islamic texts. One only has to look at last night, the news last night, where we find out that 5 Muslim soldiers were arrested in Fort Jackson for attempting to poison the food of our soldiers who defend our freedom. What's the tragedy and the catastrophe of this story is that it happened before Christmas. It happened before the Christmas balls bomber. And who broke the story? Well, listen, he's got more balls than our political elite, don't you think? The thing is there's a cover-up going on, and we have been infiltrated on every level of society and at the senior level of government. The problem is that truth is the new hate speech, and we are living in so tawdry an age that just telling the truth makes you a hero, and yet there are so few heroes. So Robert and I assembled today the leading voices of truth, so you can get it unfettered, unfiltered, from the reliable witnesses. We have Wafa Sultan, who is a former Muslim, who lives under death threat. She's a human rights activist. If you missed her debate on Al-Jazeera TV against an Islamic cleric, you haven't lived. We have Steve Coughlin in his first public appearance, key analyst at the Pentagon. Who was fired, under pressure by Islamic infiltrators. And yes, I am bringing you a taste of Europe as well, because if you want to look down the road, and it's not so far down the road, these are the images that you're seeing, but Florida was up here, and so was New York. And this was just last year. We have Elizabeth Wolff, who is under indictment for hate speech, which is, Our friend, Herd Wilders, is suffering the same fate. I brought him to CPAC last year. You know who he is. His fight is our fight. They are the proxies on trial for us. They are in the fight for free speech. Free speech, that's what this is all about across America. And when you have the United States government for the first time co-sponsoring a resolution at the UN with Egypt to criminalize free speech, not to defame Islam, then I got to tell you, Houston, we got a problem. Anders Gravers, the Danish leader of the Stop the Islamization of Europe movement, is with us, and he will tell you about the terrible trials that are going on in Europe. And lastly, because we will end on a positive note, because good will triumph over evil. Yeah. We have Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, who best represents the future political leadership of this country. And now we will begin the program with Wafa Sultan.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. I am honored to be your speaker. I would like to thank my friend Pamela Giller and Mr. Robert Spencer for making this event possible. I expect most of you to know who I am and what my message is. But all what you need to know is there are countless fatwa issued against my life in the Islamic world. That's all what you need to know in order to know who I am. I don't have a speech to say. I have few points I need to bring your attention to. I have only 20 minutes, so I'm gonna speak as fast as I could, because if I speak slowly, you may not understand my English. In the last few months, we witnessed a few terrifying Islamic terror-related attacks. The military psychiatrist Nidal Hassan, who shot and killed 13 of his colleagues and patients. The Christmas Day Nigerian Muslim terrorist, who unsuccessfully attempted to explode a US airplane and kill all passengers. The CIA Jordanian double agent physician who blew himself up, killing 8 CIA operatives. What do they all have in common? Jihad. Is this a word we dare not speak? Regrettably, at this point, with the soft and cautious approach our current government adopts in the war against Islamic terrorism, it seems that Obama's administration is not yet prepared, and neither was the former President Bush, to reach the conclusion that Islam is not merely a religion, but an aggressive and dangerous political ideology which aspires to world domination. There are too many Muslims who are willing to accomplish this ideology through an active physical jihad. But there are even more who are eager to carry out a subtle yet fatal multiple methods in granting Islam a special standing in our society, slowly creeping Islamic Sharia into our liberal democratic system and ultimately Islamizing America, as happens in Europe. While hiding behind a facade of moderate Muslims, these astute jihadists have reinvented themselves as mainstream civil rights activists, despite their many past declarations of Islamic supremacy. They play a key role in formulating US government guidelines for the war on terror. They deflect any responsibility for Islam's belligerent actions since Islam's inception to the present day. They attempt to silence the voices of those who question the worst aspects of Islamic law. The second point I would like to bring your attention to, in an address video to the U.S. Islamic World Forum in Doha, President Obama announced recently that he will appoint a special envoy to the organization of the Islamic Conference named Rashid Hussain. Mr. Obama described Mr. Rashid as a hafiz of the Quran. A hafiz is a person who has memorized the entire Quran word for word in the original Arabic. One would assume that as a well-versed in Islamic text, Mr. Hussain may well be familiar with the amount of aggressive surahs written in the Quran against the kafir, the non-Muslims. Additionally, according to Atlas Shrugged website, Mr. Hussain has been closely associated with the Muslim Brotherhood and had been speaking for their conferences for various times. So, the expected question ought to be raised. Doesn't President Obama recognize that Mr. Hussain's deep knowledge of Islam, on one hand, his profound devotion to Islam on the other hand, and his association with a dubious organization such as the Muslim Brotherhood may be a source of concern for the United States? Is it fair to ask if Mr. Hussain's loyalty lies first with the interest of the United States or with his devotion to Islam? Can be a risky conflict of interest. Furthermore, why is President Obama so eager to establish a close tie with the organization of the Islamic Conference, an organization that represents the 57 Islamic countries who are working tirelessly to stifle freedom of speech worldwide and to prevent anyone all around the world from raising vital, troubling issues related to various cruel Islamic doctrines? Is President Obama in agreement with the OIC harmful agenda? Will the President go along and support the OIC plan to devastate freedom of speech, the pillar of Western civilization? My third point, when I heard about the new body scanner used in 17 international US airports, I recognized that this machine could leave throughout the Islamic world the psychological impact of the Hiroshima atomic bomb without taking any life. Having believed that the war against Islamic terrorism is mostly an ideological war, I consider this machine a most powerful mental weapon used to demean Islamists, not to mention the appropriate rationale of inventing the machine to prevent further terror attacks. Applying the scanner, I believe, would help waken and shatter the core of many heartless Islamic doctrines and would prove mostly to Muslims themselves how fragile these dogmas are. Based on Islamic theology, the Muslim male's honor resides in their women's bodies. Therefore, for Muslim women to be scanned by the kafir, it is an enormous challenge that while Muslims themselves have been causing terror acts at the first place, they have never faced this humiliating trial before. However, My dream was short-lived. Last week, the Indiana-based Islamic Fiqh Council on North America issued a fatwa stating that the scanning machines violate Islamic teachings of modesty, to which the TSA unfortunately responded later with a statement emphasizing it's committed to protecting passenger privacy and also allowing passengers who refuse to be checked by the scanner to have the option of a manual pat down by a security guard of the same gender. To me, some essential issue of concern seem to be missing here. The scanning machines are to protect innocent passengers against Islamic terrorism. Yet, those machines are not to be used on Muslims out of respect to their teaching. Yet, those machines are not to be used on Muslims out of respect to their teaching. The very same teachings that had driven 19 terrorists to destroy the Trade Center and kill 3,000 individuals, not to mention other horrifying terror acts. Nothing could be more outrageous. I have only one short point to mention. Saudi Arabia was and still is the mastermind behind Islamic terrorism. The Saudi king has the power financially, politically, and religiously to change Islam overnight. But he needs to feel the pressure to do that. As long as the West needs his oil, I don't expect the West to do or to put enough pressure on him. I will leave you with a story so you can never underestimate the power of King Abdullah. Few years ago, King Abdullah invited the top clerics in his kingdom to his palace and asked him to issue a fatwa permitting people to use satellites. After a short consideration, they came up with a decision. No, sorry, we can't do that because our Prophet Muhammad never used satellites. So after a nice and royal dinner, everyone went back to the parking lot where they left their brand new cars to find them replaced by camels. The king's guards told the clerks, sorry, you have to ride camels from now on because our Prophet Muhammad never used cars. So, if you put enough pressure, I don't know what kind of pressure, on King Abdullah, Islam will be changed overnight. Ladies and gentlemen, September 11 was a tragic moment in the history of our nation. But the infiltration of Islam in our society is a subject of equal concern. I urge each of you to fight applying Islamic Sharia in America. The great Thomas Paine, one of the founding fathers of the United States of America, once stated, if there must be trouble, let it be in my day so that my child can live in peace. Islam is here. Let's deal with the evil of Islam now, right now, so our future generation can live in peace. Thank you so much. God bless you. God bless America. Thank you. Thank you so much.